And are you heading off still?
No, I'm here. I am here.
Okay.
I'm here. So welcome everybody to Getting to Professional Member. And we've got a few more Singaporeans on the line this evening than usual because they have requested, can we be part of it? And we said yes, because you're part of Global Speakers Federation and we love you. So this evening is all about LinkedIn. How do we get better at it, get business from it? Now, the woman who knows about LinkedIn and is a LinkedIn guru is, of course, the lovely Jo Saunders, based in Perth, but present everywhere due to the internet. So I'm just, without further ado, going to throw over to her. She's been a LinkedIn guru for a while. She's co-written a book, Get Good or Get Off, when it comes to social media, and I am a firm believer in that. So without further ado, please welcome Jo Saunders. Welcome, Jo.
Hey. Hello. Yes, actually, let me just fix that up. I've just locked my screen out. Yes, so today's going to be a very flexible, fluid session. I've got slides, as I always do, because, you know, that's what I like to drive things that way. But today's really about questions, asking lots of questions, anything that you want to know. There's no silly question. And as Warwick said, I'm going to touch on a couple of pieces of the profile because, you know, a couple of common mistakes, but it's more about the what next, the what to do, you know, the networking part and the content piece, because they're the two pieces that people get stuck on. So I'm going to jump in and share my screen, and then I'm going to go full screen because I think I'll do it that way. Okay, so that will be over there. I'm just working out my logistics here, as you do. Oops, 1 second.
That dreaded technical term.
Oh, yeah.
You know you're in trouble when you go, oops.
It should be coming. Now, can you see my full screen with my beautiful tree?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so LinkedIn, it's all about really building your visibility, your influence and authority as a speaker in the area of your expertise. So that's what we're going to be going through and where it fits in so that you are found or you're finding people. Connecting and engaging, because it's really about the engagement piece, and LinkedIn has changed over the years. It used to be about, you know, building this content, you know, it's a content platform, but it's more now about engaging with people rather than talking to them. It's talking with them. So I'll go through some of those pieces, but it's about being memorable. So at a physical event, you might have a certain brand, like these two guys. This guy was at a conference that I was speaking at, and I snapped his photo because he, you know, personal brand on steroids. But how do you do that online? Because LinkedIn's driven by text, as most platforms are. So it's about being found. And yeah, a part of that is your profile, because your profile is going to help you rank. But what you do with that profile is also going to help you rank. So if you've got your profile optimized with the right keywords and you've done all your homework, you know who your ideal clients are, the problem that they have that you solve, you'll come up in Google. So if you're looking for LinkedIn Expert Australia, I rank #1 for that, just by chance, and it's my LinkedIn profile. And and Jane Anderson's also on this list. My website's also on the list, but my website's at the bottom. My profile's at the top. And my name, everything on this page is pretty much me, except a couple of photos. But my LinkedIn profile ranks first, my name as well. So it's easy to do that, but it's not just about creating a profile. It's not just about optimizing your profile. It's about using it and creating content that's of the right topic. Now, if you can hear dogs going crazy, that's my dog outside barking and chatting to the neighbor. So hopefully that's not coming through really loud. So you want to, firstly, a bit of homework is, you know, when have you last Googled yourself? Because as a speaker particularly, you know, we're, you know, an out there brand, we need to be Googling ourselves to make sure that everything is matching. But also working out, where does your LinkedIn profile rank right now for your name, for the keywords, all the different things that you want to be known for. So if you are the get good guy, or the, you know, the expo guy, or the, you know, emotional intelligence guy, whatever guy you are, to quote David Kasukas, you want to be ranking for that. And LinkedIn will help you rank, as I've just demonstrated. So when you search Google, obviously you're going to influence results based on your history, you know, your location, those sorts of things. So do what's called an incognito search, just as a bit of a tech slide. And in Chrome, you go to the 3 little dots at the end, incognito window, and then do a blanket search. So I just wanted to mention that, because it's good to do that often, and see what else is coming up. If you've got profiles in different platforms, you'll find their ranking as well. So back to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has 3 components. You've got your profile, you've got a company page, and you've got groups. They're the 3 sort of areas that we sort of play in. Now, groups I'm not going to bother talking about because they've been dead for a while. but they are being reignited. So they are working on them in the background. And some of my colleagues, they've signed non-disclosure agreements and can't share what's coming, but know that they are coming back. So just as a side, if you're not in the PSA group on LinkedIn, you should be, because that's a place to share, knowledge within our community, within our tribe. And I'm sure the Asia chapter has, groups as well. But also being in groups where your clients are. So joining them, but like I said, don't put a lot of effort in right now. Company page, I'm just going to work backwards here, because company page is important as well in terms of branding, being found, and having a professional logo on your profile. But as a speaker, you might be a speaker, a business of one, and your brand may be your name, but you can still set up a business page for your name to help you look good and to rank as well. But the profile is really where all the action is, because people connect to people. And, you want to be, obviously, as a speaker, it's all about your personal, professional brand. So I just wanted to go through a couple of bits of your profile just to make sure you've got this. And we're as speakers, this should be 101 sort of stuff. But having a background photo of you speaking would make sense to show you action. So Warwick's got that on his profile. A few other speakers have them in action. So, and the visuals to go with it. But the other pieces that are really important are your media items and your activity and content, because this shows up in your profile. It shows up in the history. It shows up in the newsfeed of your connections. And if you do a search, it can rank in Google as well, if you've got the right keywords in that content. Even posts, quick posts. So I just wanted to mention the importance of that. So this, obviously with your profile, it's whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, you want to make sure your profile looks good first, because if you're active, you're drawing attention to yourself. So you want to be branded just like Ian, just like David and Marie, professional speakers of a higher level who invest in their brand. And Warwick, have a look at some of the CSPs, have a look at their profiles, and you'll see that they're on brand. So just a couple of things I want to mention about profile as well. Break down your experience into what you do. So you might be a keynote speaker, but you may also do training. And Ian Stevens has got 2 business names that he operates under. And you also may have published a book. That's another role. Now, the reason you want to split it up into 3 different sections, if these are 3 areas of operation, is that, keywords, ranking, and it gives you more real estate. LinkedIn are just rolling a big update at the moment, which is if you've got roles against the same company name, it's going to compact them, but it puts them together. So you still want to do it, but it groups them somewhat. So there you go. That's all I'm talking about on profiles. Just a bit of a groundwork. Do a research yourself in Google and LinkedIn, and refresh your profile. And if you ever need a hand, I've always got this blueprint that I'm happy to share. So just let me know, and I'll flick you a copy. So that's the groundwork underway. So make sure your bases are right. Now we're talking about getting connected. And one thing I wanted to mention to start with is just how LinkedIn works, because it's slightly different to Facebook in terms of the reach you can achieve. So this little diagram here just demonstrates, this is you in the middle. So say this is Warwick. Warwick's this person in the middle. Warwick's connected to me, and I'm a first level connection. And then I've obviously got my connection. So Avi I'm connected to. So if Avi's not connected to Warwick, he is Warwick's second level connection through me, because I'm his first, if that makes sense. If Avi is connected to Philippa becomes Warwick's third level, assuming there's no links in between. Now, the reason that's super important to understand is that when Warwick shares something on LinkedIn, or whether he engages on, in something on LinkedIn, I'm connected. So I may see it in my newsfeed. If I see it, I may choose to engage with that particular update, which gives exposure to my connections, which includes Avi. If Avi decides to engage in Warwick's post, remembering they're not connected, Philippa may see it. So that's the power of LinkedIn. It's reaching not just your connections, but your network, which is 3 degrees deep. So if you think about now, you're building your speaking brand, and this is why you need to be really, really conscious of where you spend your energy. Because if you think about who are the people around you who you want to influence, who you want to get booked by, and spend time building relationships with them on LinkedIn. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Cool. And don't just connect to every man and his dog either, because that's not what LinkedIn's about either. It's being strategic, but thinking about who is it that kind of you want to connect to. So it could be your ideal clients. That makes sense straight away. It could be your peers, conference organizers, PCOs, internal event organizers, those people that are going to book you. influencers of those people, so people who are connected to them, because they may be people to engage with, because through them you might be exposed to the right people. Strategic partners, so people around who do what you do, other leaders and trainers, even suppliers. So that's the kind of people you'd want to connect to, and connect the right way. So a lot of people just hit the connect button without thought, and it's all about building that number to get into that magic 500, that magic, whatever your magic number is. 500 just seems to be the number that everybody aspires to. But we're all, as speakers, we're building our brand. You might be at 1,000, you might be at 2,000, you might be at 5,000. It doesn't really matter what your number is, but it's about building relationships in the way you would in person. So connecting with conversation. So rather than just hitting the button without thought, stopping and doing it as you would in person. So adding a note and not selling to them. So it's never about selling. LinkedIn's not a sales platform. So it is, but it's not, if that makes sense. You sell by building relationships. So introducing yourself and making it about them. So if you've gone to their profile and had a look at their activity, you can now get some context about them and say something about them as you're connecting. So this is on desktop. This is how you do it. On mobile, a lot of people think you can't do it, but you can. It's just about going to the profile, going to more, and then finding personalize and sending a little note. Now, the main reason you want to do this is not just about introduction. It's about anchoring that relationship, because LinkedIn, the basic version of LinkedIn, or even the premium versions, they don't allow you to manage that relationship. So you can't tag them anymore. You can't put them into a list like you can on Twitter and Facebook. It's just a big bowl of connections. So by sending a personalized invitation, you've actually anchored that relationship in your history. So say in 2 years' time, you think, who's this Warwick guy? How do I know Warwick? I can look back in my message history and find my reference to, and I'll put some key things in. It might be, hi Warwick, great to meet you at PSA. I loved your presentation on blah, blah, blah. Obviously, someone else should talk about their presentation, but say something that makes sense to you, makes sense to them. So it anchors it for later, because you might need that information down the track, to sort of reference that. Also in their profile, before you connect to them, all this info is there under their activity. You can see what kind of things they're interested in. So you can get a bit of intelligence about them, but reference something that they've said. It might be, I loved your comment about blah, 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 or I loved your article about X, Y, Z. Something to build that relationship, because LinkedIn's a relationship building tool. Now, a couple of things that might be useful, particularly speakers, if you want to get, and this might be good for you, Warwick, particularly as an MC, if you can drive interaction and get people doing something with the LinkedIn app and look really cool in the process, there's two functions that you can use. So these are fairly new, like in the last 3-4 months now. If you go to the, down the bottom, network, if you can see the little people, and then at the top, you've got find nearby off. It's off by default. If you get everybody in the room during your presentation, at the end of your presentation, or get the MC to do it, turn it on, you can get everybody popping up. It's like a who's in the room kind of thing, and then getting people connecting and networking that way. So you could do that to, for whatever reason. Now, if you get them to find you and connect to you, this is a nice way to, rather than getting them to add themselves to your mailing list, good old days of having the list, you can get them to connect to you. And if they do it with a message in the process, that's a nice way to build relationships with people that you've seen. Particularly if you're at the early stage of your speaking, you're speaking for free, because often with those free speaker gigs, it's about building your list, building exposure, getting seen by people, getting experience. But part of list building might be using LinkedIn. The second one, at the top of the search screen up here, you've got these 4 little squares. That's a QR code reader. Now, you might be thinking QR codes are dead with the dinosaurs pretty much, but they're back, and they actually have a purpose now. So if you click on it, you can scan someone's code, you can share your own code. Now, it's a little bit, you think, well, you're in person, so you don't necessarily need to do that. You can do the find nearby, but you could put the QR code on some marketing material and make it super easy for people to scan and find you. So my new business cards have my QR code on, so you can just download it. So that's a couple of extra ninja tips for networking. So finally, is content. Now, this is the important piece. So content is all about building your authority as an expert in what you do. So you've got the ability to consume content. So if you're learning about someone you're building a relationship with, going to their profile, looking at what their activity says about them, learning about something in the speaking industry that you can use. You've got curating content, which is sharing other people's content, creating your own, which is the most time intensive, but you can repurpose content from other sources, particularly video. I've seen a few speakers using video lately, which is quite powerful. And then you've got the conversation piece, which is the most critical part of LinkedIn, because that's where the magic happens. And you're seen by not just the person, but their network, and beyond. And then coffee, because I like things to match up. So it could be anything. It doesn't have to be coffee. It could be, I don't know, it could be a wine. It could be, it's that conversation, that like in-person conversation where you're building that one-to-one relationship. So I'll just go through a couple of examples. So we've got the LinkedIn dashboard here. Now I'm working screenshots. I mean, I can switch live, but I thought I'd do this just in case the internet goes a bit, wobbly, as we do. So you've got right at the very top, you've got what I call the social triggers, your network, messaging, and notifications, which is where all the action happens. Things to manage and monitor. Notifications can be useful in terms of finding intelligence about people. So, for instance, if one of your connections has engaged with your content, you obviously want to respond to that. But one of your connections might be having a birthday, anniversary, new job, all that sort of stuff. Now, the thing not to do, the big no-no, and I get this all the time, is don't send the default message saying congrats on your new job, congrats on your whatever. Because essentially and I get hundreds of these because as you build your network, if you send a default message, it's kind of like you've gone out and bought a card for somebody. You haven't written anything in it. You've got the standard verse and you've sent exactly the same card as 50 other people. And that's what they've received. So going back to how do you stand out, it's about using that information to start a conversation. So if someone's got a new job and they're an ideal client, maybe they've got a new job as a PCO with a particular organisation. You could wish them well and say, if you ever need any help with whatever it is you do, if you ever need an MC, then I'm your guy, kind of thing. Without being too salesy and upfront, make it about them. Be helpful, be of service. But that's the outcome, that you want to be known as the guy for them. So that's notifications. Other things that can be useful is who's looking at your profile, because we're always curious about that, but why are they looking, more importantly? And if they've looked at your profile, maybe if you pick up the phone and speak to that person, don't say that you've seen them looking at your profile, but you might just say, I was just thinking about you, how's it going? Do you want to catch up a coffee? Because if you're on their mind or on their radar, it might just be a nice reason to get in touch with them, because they might have seen something you put out there. Someone might have recommended you and they've looked at your profile for that reason. So work out what it is and where it fits in. And then you've got obviously what's happening in your news feed, which is all the stuff that you've subscribed to, essentially, whether it's company pages you've followed, your connections. That's information you can engage with, and you can obviously like, comment, and share. But that's in public. So keep in mind that whatever you share publicly, people can see. So it's always going to be reflective of your professional brand as a speaker and the area of expertise that you're in. So in terms of activity, like I said, it's all about getting known by the right people for what you do, but you can also use that information to find out more about the people you want to influence. So think about if you've got a list of 20 conferences that you want to target, or 20 organizations that you'd like to work with, training, speaking, whatever it is you do, go to their profiles and look at their activity. So I've obviously picked some speakers just to show what they're doing. So you've got Warwick, you're in here as well. These are some of the speakers that are active, and I'm not sure what results you're getting, Warwick, and I'll be interested to hear from you shortly about that. But I know Graham's getting booked, and Graham's giving a presentation in WA about this has been his best year yet. And he will tell you it's not about social media. It's about calls, making phone calls. But LinkedIn fits in well with that, because you can use the intelligence on LinkedIn, that connection piece, so that when you pick up the phone, you've got something to say or reference, something about them, you know a bit about what's going on with them. But it's also being seen in between those engagements. So you'll see on these 4 examples, each one's got this big image and the 3 points to the side. So the big image is an article. So publishing articles is useful on LinkedIn because it positions you in the area of expertise. But it's something that I wouldn't put a lot of effort into in terms of don't publish once a week or twice a day or something. once or twice a month, I think, is enough, because it's not, LinkedIn don't sort of push it anymore. It's up to you to promote it yourself. So once you've published an article, which is essentially like a blog on your website, you publish your article, LinkedIn gives you a little box to say promote it to your network, which is a post. But once you've done that, that's it. It goes dead unless you're promoting it yourself and sharing it with people manually. So, or you might have some sort of scheduling system going on. But you need to do, it's a two-part process. But you want to make sure that each one, that your most recent, is reflective of what you're doing right now or what you want to be known for. So if you make it evergreen, I mean, this one's got Graham's 13 top tips for a powerful presentation. Straight away, you know that he's a speaker. You know it's something in his realm of speaking. David's all about meetings. His article's all about that. So making sure that it fits your brand. Then you've got the 3 pieces, the most recent activity. Now, activity is where you've shared a post or where you've engaged with somebody else's content. So if you've liked something that's got nothing to do with your brand or where you're going, that's going to show up. So really think about where you're engaging, putting your efforts. So the type of topics, I just want to cover a couple of ideas of things you can engage with if you're just stuck for words. I mean, you're not going to be stuck for words. We're all speakers and we've all got a lot to say. So, this is probably the easy part for you guys. But, and particularly, one thing to just to start with, if writing's not your thing, then as a speaker, clearly speaking will be your thing. Absolutely. So to prove your speaking ability, using video is really powerful because people can connect to you much easier if you're on video. And you've got native video on LinkedIn, which is hosted on LinkedIn. Now, with any content on LinkedIn, if you share links to external sources, so it links to your website, links to an Eventbrite booking form, links to something else that's not within LinkedIn, LinkedIn don't like it. Just like most platforms, they don't give it a great deal of weight. So you want to be sharing content that keeps the user in LinkedIn if you can. So native video works really well. So you can share things like industry news in your space. So I share a lot of updates about what's going on in LinkedIn because that's the thing I'm known for. Anything in and around LinkedIn tips. Usually I'm going to bed and I discover something's been rolled out, and that's when I get distracted and start writing content about it. If it's something I need to talk about quickly. Stuff that's happening within your community, because LinkedIn, while it's a professional platform, the stuff that tends to work really well is personal stuff where you're coming out from behind that professional brand, where you're sharing a story. Like a colleague of mine who's a LinkedIn trainer, Gillian Bullock, I know you know her quite well, Warwick. She shared a couple of days ago about moving house and the challenges related to that. But she brought it back. It was about her business, but it was actually personal. So if you can share challenges or different stories that bring that personality forward, as long as they're on brand, it's who you want to be known for as a speaker, that can work quite well. So for instance, another colleague of mine in the UK, she is a home-based florist. She shares lots of beautiful photos of her arrangements of flowers, but she tells the story of where they're being delivered. So one was for a lady's lady, sound really old saying lady, don't I? A girl, her 21st. And then she sort of went back to what she was doing at 21 and what it meant, the things that she aspired to be. And so that's, she connected it that way. So you think about, where are you going? Where are you speaking? Where are you hanging out? What's happening in your world? Something that you can bring back into your expertise. This other example was someone was taking part in Swim to Work Day, which I didn't know was a thing here in WA, but apparently it is. I won't be doing that. We have sharks, lots of sharks, and I'm not into, and they are in the river. But she's telling the story of that, and how she's supporting different charities. And here's a link, whatever. But I did share a swimming story this year. I actually took up swimming this year. So I took a photo of the pool without anybody around, and shared the 5 things I learned about swimming, which related to my brand and business. So that kind of stuff can work quite well. Now, obviously speaking, evidence of you doing something. And if you're early in your speaking career, this is where the sort of free or low-cost speaking gigs you're doing. Part of that value proposition might be making sure that someone is at the back of the room taking photos of you, showing you speaking to an audience. Maybe someone's at the front with the close-ups. So bringing that into your LinkedIn just showcases what you do. But like I said, video is really powerful on LinkedIn. So it doesn't have to be a video of you speaking. It could be you speaking to camera. The top one here is me meeting one of the Nimble CEO. I'm one of their partners. And we just had a bit of a chat, and I asked him to show how to use Nimble on video. So that was at a conference, meeting people. This one at the bottom here, Harry Boson is a WA PSA member, or comes to our meetings. He did a video with Graham Harvey, and they had captions turned on. So that was something a PC used to share on LinkedIn. The top one, I hijacked a speaker's stage. Probably don't recommend doing that unless it's someone you know quite well and it works well. But Vivica von Rosen is like the LinkedIn expert. That's her brand. And I was speaking at the same conference as her in the US. And she's the reason I was there. She recommended me. But she was teaching LinkedIn and video. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do a video, I'll do one with her. So we did it on stage, and of course, shared that on LinkedIn. So if you can show something that fits in and around your brand, that can work. But also not just the speaking itself, the lead up. Where are you going? So if you're traveling somewhere, so I shared when I went to the US, I'm going to a particular area. What do I need to see? Who do I need to meet? And someone connected me with a person who lives in this particular area, and we caught up for coffee while I was over there. So it's about, using that particular opportunity and going with, how else can you leverage it? What else can you do with it? Can you talk about where you are going to be speaking? After the event, where did you speak? Because you build up, what you end up doing, and this is something I suppose accidentally done, is it looks like you're speaking everywhere when you might not be. You might just be starting out. So over time it looks, you share, because you're sharing different things over different times, or you might be reflecting on something you did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where, different location that you're going to. So it's that whole, you're always on brand talking about what you do. And then the other one that works really well is achievements and recognition. Now, this is Graham Harvey at the PSA convention when he got the Nevin Award. And he actually said to me, why has this post been one of his more successful? I mean, it's got 230 likes, 66 comments, and it went quite quickly. And it's because it's something, personal. It's a personal achievement, and people like to celebrate with you, whether they know what it is or not. It might be his clients commenting. But so if you've got something that you can celebrate, some small achievement, that's good to bring to LinkedIn as well. Doesn't have to be this. I mean, obviously you might aspire to win the Nevin Award down the track, but what can you share? So I've just shared lots of different ideas, and I want to delve into further, into questions you have. We can bring up profiles, look into different activity, but all the things that you're doing, and you've got, like I said, you've got the connection piece with the people and building relationships, and you've got the content piece. Now you've got the in public, which is the commenting and sharing content on LinkedIn, commenting on things on LinkedIn. People can see it, and you want people to see it. But you've also got what I call the in private, which is the personal messaging on LinkedIn, because that's quite powerful. Or it might be email, depending on how you're going to build those relationships. But the piece that's missing in LinkedIn is the people management, because you can't flag anything for follow-up. You can't manage that relationship. And that's where you need to use something outside of LinkedIn, like a CRM, which is why I'm a partner with Nimble. So Nimble is a CRM. It works really well across the top of Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. It sort of goes across the web and brings all the profiles together to give you the full picture of somebody. So unless you've got Sales Navigator, which is a license of LinkedIn, that will give you some of the features. So in terms of then, once you've got all this working, and we can talk about planning and that sort of stuff, but you want to be measuring certain things. How do you know it's successful? How do you know it's working? Well, the number one is obviously speaking bookings, like getting booked to speak and getting paid, because that's what we're all here for. But some of the metrics you can be looking at are things like profile views, search appearances. They give you some triggers, but you don't know that's what's going to feed your ego. When I got to 2,000 profile views in a period, that was when I went, whoa, that's exciting. But what does it mean? Nothing. Just meant something to my ego, but it's the what next. It's the, measuring, are people engaging with you publicly? Are they engaging with you privately through messages? Are they emailing you? Are they picking up the phone and calling you? Are they booking you? So they're the things you want to measure. And you might not necessarily find that it comes directly from LinkedIn. It might be a range of things, but LinkedIn is going to back up your speaker brand. It might be that they've come in through your website, but they've probably checked you out all over the place. And if they found you on Google, then LinkedIn's going to be part of that picture as well, hopefully. But it's backing up your brand so that, you know, it's a long game, LinkedIn. So it's something you need to invest in and keep feeding all the time, but without putting a lot of time into it. So one of the things I had on my previous slide, I forgot to mention, was just a metric I've come up with. So it's changed from LinkedIn being a platform to throw your content at, which years ago, that's, you know, people were doing a lot of that and it worked quite well. It's become quite noisy. So I've come up with a bit of a ratio of 1 piece of your content to 9 pieces of engagement, as in talking to other, and it might be 20, it might be 1 to 20, but it's about building relationships with other people and people of influence, people that, you know, you want to get booked by, I suppose, but building an authentic relationship. Does that make sense? So I wanted to just, I guess, open up to sort of any questions that have come up from, you know, things I've mentioned, any issues that you've got, questions, challenges. Yeah, does that work well for you guys?
Sounds like a cunning plan. Thank you very much. Now, Avi's got his hand up. So,
Yay.
Avi, let's unmute you. You're unmuted. Ask away.
Thank you, Joe. It's always fun to hear you. You're absolutely gorgeous. And thank you, PSA, for helping us in Singapore to join you. I have almost 17,000 people on my LinkedIn. And I think that the issue that I have is how to create the right short, sweet messages in a sequence that I could not be too aggressive, and I could follow your C's in such a way that it's going to be either coffee with cookies or wine or whatever. Because I did get 6-digit contracts from LinkedIn, but my conversion ratio comparing to my potential is probably the worst ever.
Okay. So in terms of sequencing of messages, are you talking about private messages, or are you talking about just messages in public, like to one specific person, or private, more of a, okay.
Because I have a few thousand CEOs, and sometimes what happens, CEOs don't communicate on LinkedIn. I just got from one of the deputy CEOs of a big airline, because I did some work for Turkish Airlines. And he says, I'm rarely here on LinkedIn. Here is my email. And I emailed him. But that's a different kind of a problem. My problem is if I have a few thousand CEOs or C-level people, I'm not effective with my messages. They don't answer. How do I get them to...
Well, part of the answer may be that they're not using LinkedIn. They might have a PA using LinkedIn for them. That's the other thing. Not everybody's managing their own presence. I'm not sure if any of you here have outsourced your LinkedIn, because, you know, spending hours on LinkedIn may not be a good use of your time, but it's you know, building those relationships. So if the person's not in LinkedIn, and you can kind of get a feel, though, looking at their profile, their activity, that'll give you a feel for, are they active on LinkedIn? But in terms of private messaging, if they're getting a lot of messages from people, particularly the messages that might be seen as spam, I'm not saying yours is spam, I'm just saying in general, because you've seen those spam messages that kind of, you know, try and sell you some stuff, and yours is caught amongst that, that's not going to help you stand out. So going back to that picture of the guy in the blue suit, you want to be the guy in the blue suit on LinkedIn. So if you can do something different, actually a new feature coming to LinkedIn, it's being rolled out, but I've only seen a couple of people have it, is audio messaging. So rather than sending a text message, and which might look like the same message you send to other people, if you send an audio message, that's a way to stand out and build relationships. Like I said, this is quite new. Or video can work as well.
How is it possible?
Now video, well, video you can't do within LinkedIn. I mean, video is a relatively newish feature to the public, you know, doing native videos on your company page or profile. But doing videos in a message, you'd have to use an external tool. So...
any recommendation?
Yes. Is it Loom? Loom's and oh gosh, what's that app called now? Lost it. It is called Appearin. That's one of them. It allows you to create a quick video that's private, obviously, because it's not for the public consumption, and you send it to the person. Now, if you're on desktop, you can do it as it's a browser extension of Chrome. So you create a quick video, put it into the message.
Would you kindly write it in the chat? So. Yep. And is it possible to do voice messages on LinkedIn?
It is, but you probably won't have it yet. I don't have the feature yet, but I know a couple of people. There's one person in Australia I know of, and one person in the UK. It's a very new feature. It's there's a blog about it. You've got it, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, the man with the voice has got it. Makes sense.
That's what it is. Yeah, and it's just as simple. You hold it down, and it's like you're using Messenger on iPhone. The same thing. You hold it down, and you just speak, and it sends the audio voice. It doesn't transcribe it; it just sends the audio.
No. Yeah.
Hey, a question Julian's got is a premium account essential? And my response is I do the free month every now and again, and then wait another 6 months and then get another free month of premium again, because I don't use the services. But that's just me. What's your opinion, Joe?
Well, I've got premium because I use it every day, but it depends on your needs. But because I don't have a direct relationship with LinkedIn, I've tried. I've just had an email from the MD in Australia. They don't have a place. But that aside, so there's nothing in it for me to promote premium. So my passion is helping people use the free version initially, because you can get around a lot of the functionality. So it depends on the payoff. Like if you use, like Sales Navigator is probably the higher end product for the individual. And that gives you some management features, some search features. But if you're not using them, don't pay for it. And same with the basic premium for business. You can look at the last 90 days of profile views and see who those people are. But if you're not going to use that data, and it's, you're not going to do anything with it to pay, I suppose get that dollars back, then it's not useful. I like LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is part of premium, which used to be lynda.com. So if you like the online learning platform, it's high quality stuff, then you might pay for that for that reason. There's extra search abilities in mails. So there's some features that you can use, but there's always a workaround. Like email. I mean, I rarely use emails. I have them, but I tend to connect to someone and message them that way, there are other ways, workarounds.
Yep. Cool. Joe, if anyone else has got a question, either type it in the chat or open up your mic and ask. Joe, have you found a difference in results from sharing a basic text post versus an image post with text versus a video with text?
Yes, absolutely. I've done a bit of testing on that. Now it changes. It used to be text only delivered the best, which makes no sense because it's not visual. It doesn't stand out, but that's what LinkedIn were preferencing in terms of visibility and engagement. So the things I measure are views of that particular post and obviously likes and comments being the higher value. But video is doing quite well. I'm not finding a lot of video posts myself. Now it comes back to what you engage with. LinkedIn delivers content based on its algorithm. It's trying to be useful. So if you engage with a lot of video, it's going to show you a lot of video. So, and to get more video, you need to engage with it, if that makes sense. But in terms of success, text only really works well, but it seems to be swinging more towards video and images. But external links, if you've got a link to your blog, an event page, a booking page, just doesn't work. So you've got to be super careful. Certainly share it, but know that your reach is going to be down.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
There you go.
Okay, couple. Okay. And on Facebook account, when you want to tag some people to see the post, because Facebook now control for one post, even you have maybe 5,000 contacts, they only allowed 9, 8, or 10 people to see your post. So you have to manually tag those people's name. So what happens with LinkedIn? Do we still need to put a hashtag like a Warwick or hashtag someone?
Good question. So you can mention people. So you can force it with the @ symbol and type their name, or you can use that @ symbol in the post at the bottom, particularly if you're on mobile. But keep it really specific. So if you start tagging people who aren't related to the post, they'll get annoyed with you. So make it relevant. So if you're referencing someone, or congratulating someone, or recommending another speaker in and around what you do, mention them, because that then sends them a notification that you're talking about them, and it invites them into the conversation. So going back to the previous question about post types, if you're finding your post isn't working and it's not getting people engaged, you can go back and edit the post and mention someone in the post itself to bring them into the conversation, to give it some fresh legs, particularly if you've gone into the effort of doing a video. I'm shared that. You can also use hashtags. So the at symbol to mention, that's about individuals. If you use a hashtag, that's where you're tapping into a topic of conversation. So you might talk about, say your area of expertise is emotional intelligence. So you might use hashtag emotional intelligence to be picked up by other people. But you also might use hashtags to sort of make it easier to find your content down the track, because obviously content sort of falls away.
Okay, so there are two types of hashtag at Facebook account. There is a feature tag.
Yeah.
Then you can put the people's name. Are they the same feature on the LinkedIn account?
Yeah. So you're not talking about hashtags, then you're talking about tagging.
Yes.
Or
tagging.
It's called
yes.
Yeah. So, and that's also called mentioning. If you're looking up in terms of LinkedIn, it's mentioning, but using the at symbol to sort of bring someone in.
Okay.
Yeah. So certainly mention people with relevance, but don't just put a string of names that it doesn't relate to, because they won't understand why they're being tagged.
That's what I know. So I get annoyed because I never know how to use that on Facebook, but I constantly get the tag that I get no idea. Okay. Now another question. I use a Sales Navigator for years, and then now because I see my time pool, I target basically like a one-on-one coaching clients, for the high leads. Do you know any apps can help to export all the leads from LinkedIn account?
Okay. I'm not sure with Sales Navigator because I haven't used it for a little while. So I'm not sure. There might be. But in terms of your entire database, you can back up and actually I do recommend that you export your entire LinkedIn profile. You can take your whole profile, including your connections, and back them up, because LinkedIn can crash tomorrow and something can go wrong. And LinkedIn's going through a bit of a glitch at the moment. A lot of my content seems to be hidden. It's still there, but I'm having a few issues. Well, other people seeing my stuff. So things will change. So you don't want to rely on it. But it's what you do with it next. Now, you can export all your connections, and you could go through into like a CSV file that you can use in Excel. You could go through and you can sort of sort them out into people, but it's what you do next.
I know it because I did the testing last year. Of course, my staff did it. Now I will do differently. That's why I now focus on search for Sales Navigator to see their background, if they what they want and what I want, the matching. But to export all the content, do not need the third-party apps, right?
I'd be really careful with third-party apps, because if you've read the LinkedIn user agreement, now, like I said, I don't work for LinkedIn, but the way that I work is I work with their policies. And the LinkedIn user agreement does actually state that you shouldn't be using third-party apps to scrape data from LinkedIn. So as soon as you do that, you've breached it and you're risking your account. Some trainers kind of recommend that as an activity, and it's risky.
Yeah, I noticed actually LinkedIn might cooperate with the third-party apps, and that apps is much more expensive than other third-party apps, which are much cheaper. That's what I noticed.
Okay, yeah. So you're better off sticking to what LinkedIn offer you. And like I said, they do offer you the ability to download your data. But the thing to be careful of, as soon as you're downloading any data, which is why these tools to scrape data are a bit sort of questionable, is that as soon as you put them into a mailing program, like a MailChimp or an Infusionsoft or you've got to worry, be concerned about the Spam Act, opt-ins, privacy, all that sort of GDPR, all that sort of stuff. So back up to back up, but also you can put them into your CRM. There's no problems there because you're managing the relationship. I did notice LinkedIn allowed export 1,000 leads a day, 1,000 emails. But if you want to export more, then you need to pay 2 accounts or 3 accounts. There's some company too, if they want more data. Okay, that must be a Sales Navigator thing. Okay.
Yeah, Sales Navigator. Yeah. Thank you for that. One more question regarding to the branding. You mentioned branding. So recently I know someone who call himself Mr. Positive. So maybe this is a question also to Warwick. I asked himself, so I said, did you trademark that? He said, no. So my question is, if he call himself Mr. Positive, does he need to trademark that?
With any branding that you might call yourself, you can call yourself whatever you want, but you then need to look at what of your branding is it and how badly do you want to protect it. And so you can get it trademarked. Many people don't, some do, but if you don't, there are risks with that. So it's you can call yourself whatever you want. There's no drama with it. But there are some simple things that you can do to register business names, trademarks, that kind of stuff. IPaustralia.com.au is the place to go to do that. So, yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Hey, a few people were asking about that recording thing. Now, it's only on the app. This is the voice memo recording. So I'm just trying to show. I don't know if you can see my screen. Hang on. No.
Are you iPhone? Is that an iPhone I'm looking at?
Yeah, it's an iPhone.
Oh, you've got iPhone and you've got it.
The iPhone have a recording function.
Only some people have it.
Speaker in the middle there, next to the GIF, and that you can press on that and hold it. There's also a document next to it.
Hi, the Android phone also has recording.
Okay, cool. So anyway, that's just how you do it. And you just press and hold that. Again, it's sort of, I get concerned because each social media platform tries to do everything. It's now going, we'll be Messenger as well as LinkedIn, and it's just a bit weird and wonderful. Hey, Eric had a question. What's the best way to send your message to introduce your service without sounding too pushy? And that is always a delicate line to travel, because there are so many people who go, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And that's the best way for me to go, unfollow, never contact me again. So, Joe, what thoughts do you have? How do you introduce or connect if someone's looked at your profile? How do you go, hey, saw you looking at my profile. Is there anything you're looking for? And buy my stuff. Is there a simple way that you do it?
Well, it's just a more subtle way of doing it. So making it about them, which is why I like to look at their profile first to get some intelligence on them, find out something about them, something they've said, something they've published, something interesting about them as a person. If they've got something on their profile that you can connect to, which is why the highlights section is quite interesting. What have you got in common? Who have you got in common? Did you study together at the same university at different times? Are you in the same group? Something a connection point. Because we're always looking to build rapport with people. So if you can make it about them, and then you might say, if I could ever be of service, something quite broad, but then you want to follow it up down the track with something else, but not a buy my stuff message.
Yeah.
It's the whole, the Gary V jab, 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 right hook kind of philosophy.
And so it
always
can be
being
stuff
service.
like, hey, here's an article I see that you're interested in, I don't know, spotted dogs. Here's an article I've written about spotted dogs that you might have had been of value, or here's something my contact's written about it, and by the way, we breed spotted dogs if you're interested in blah, blah, blah. So it is that say jab, jab, jab hook. So it is that 3 or 4, here's something of value for you, something of value for you, something of value for you. By the way, how can I help?
Yeah. And that's why then you've got to think, well, how are you going to manage the relationships with those people? And LinkedIn in itself doesn't give you an ability. So you've got to work out outside of LinkedIn how you're going to manage that. CRM, spreadsheet, calendar, putting in those processes so that you're going to contact this person at this time, and then you're going to contact them at this time.
Yep.
But now you could automate this. You could script this and give it to a VA to run with, but you want to make sure that they're across any other conversations you've had. Because if they've phoned you or they've emailed you and the VA's not seen that, or maybe they've Facebooked you. Because with the way we communicate these days, often we're across platforms, and it drives me nuts that there's not one platform that, they all feed into, which Nimble used to be that platform, but then LinkedIn closed their API access. Yep. So it's just being across that, and because you can't build a relationship with everybody in your database at once. So if you've got 1,000, and going back to Avi's question about having 1,000 CEOs or whatever, you've got to work out, well, which of those are important right now, and maybe pick 10, whatever's manageable for you right now, and then map out that connection process so that you're building that value. Yeah. And share your stuff. If you've written an article about something, promote, because you're still promoting yourself, because your article is going to have a bit of a bio about yourself. It's going to be on your website or on LinkedIn. It's going to share what you do. So you're exposing yourself, in the right way, not in the naughty way. But, you know, without being spammy.
Yep. Cool. Excellent. Now, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Any other questions from anyone on anything about LinkedIn? We have Joe the Guru here, so I'm willing to take advantage of Joe, and again, in the right way, not in the wrong way. So if anyone has any questions at all, she is the girl with the answers.
Yes, I do have. Regarding to LinkedIn ads, I know so far one click is $8. And it looks like more expensive than Google AdWords. And I got a very good results from Google AdWords. But LinkedIn, I'm not sure. So what's your opinion?
I wouldn't say I'm a LinkedIn ads specialist at all. In fact, there's a guy in the US I refer any ads questions to, because that's what he does. His agency runs LinkedIn ads. It's a lot more expensive to get into than Facebook ads and Google ads. The targeting is a bit dodgy, but you've got to have a reason for it. It comes down to strategy. So if you're just promoting something, I'd really think before you do it and work out what you want to achieve from it. Yeah,
because I'm not sure the results. So since I buy the Sales Navigator, I can search all the leads I want anyhow. So why not find the leads? Then can go from.
And I think you might have answered your own question there. I don't, like I said, I don't do a lot with LinkedIn ads. I don't specialize in them. I don't actually use them very often. I've tested a few. It's difficult. But if you've got Sales Navigator, you might be better off targeting the right people that way. You can do, in-mail is one type of ad you can do, but then it can look like spam when it's received. So you've got to balance it out.
I don't do that anymore. And then regarding to Facebook ads, I test many times. What happens, the keywords is not really that precise.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
Ads,
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions? Anything else anyone desperately needs to say, share, or otherwise? I noticed we've got the lovely Julian on the line. He's got a video program coming up. Check out that video program. I'm enjoying your short videos on LinkedIn and on Facebook all over the place. So check that out. And lots of other fun things going on around PSA and APSS. So a big thank you to Joe for all your time this evening and sharing your expertise with us. That is fantastic. We appreciate that. This will go to the vault, hopefully, over the next couple of hours. So without further ado, I'm going to call it there. Joe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. And if anybody's got questions, you're welcome to ask them in the PSA group or message me directly. I'm happy to take.
What's your email? Or just get on LinkedIn. Connect with Joe on LinkedIn. Send her a LinkedIn message. Don't just hit invite. Put a nice thing. Joe, saw you. You're running the PSA session. It was fantastic. Let's be friends.
That's right. But if you want to actually talk to me, it's better to email me, just as a side. I don't like LinkedIn messages because it's just difficult to manage.
Yeah, cool. What's your email address then, Joe?
joe@wildfiresm.com.
That's joe@wildfiresm.com. Cool now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hey, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, no matter what you do. It's been fabulous to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.